Have you been injured in a motor vehicle accident? With over 40 years of experience in personal injury litigation, James Militi and his team at Lawyers West LLP, well, they've seen it all. Check them out now at www.lawyerswest.ca to set up your free consultation.
The Green Men are live here in Vancouver.
Ashley Young delivers, and DeMerit puts Watford in front.
The shot! It's worth the shot.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Rise. My name is Ryan Sullivan. His name is Jay DeMerit. And we are inundated with U.S. soccer on today's show.
We are.
Very excited
Lots of
about
good things happening.
Yeah, you guys are taking over.
And here in Canada. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, this is couldn't come at a better time. So we've had some tremendous episodes so far. Kai Kamara to start things out. That was fantastic. Colin O'Brady, Kirk McLean last week. We have Shannon Boxx on this week. Tremendous story, and maybe I don't know if I want to pump her tires too much. I'll let her pump her own tires, but putting U.S. soccer, U.S. ladies soccer on the map, would you say
100%,
that
100%,
played quite the hand in that?
100%.
I think
and
that's
she,
pretty...
she of course will give us some insight on that story. But
yeah,
to win 3 gold medals is very rare in all of sport. So it's a pleasure to have her on the show.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty accurate statement. So we're gonna get to her in just one quick moment. Got to pay the bills real quick. The Burrard Block coming at you, but first we talk about the fine folks at Lawyers West. James Militi, he's not a good man. He's a great man. He does it all. Lawyers West, check him out. Lawyers West LLP is the full official name. You have any law needs, by all means, give them a shout. They do some fine work over there. The good folks at Burrard Physiotherapy as well. Got to thank them. If you're looking to keep that body healthy, as we all are, as it gets a little chilly outside, the skilled and caring therapists at Burrard Physio, they are here to help. They'll carefully assess and prescribe exercises. They also have leading-edge equipment such as laser, shockwave, anti-gravity, treadmill, and real-time ultrasound as well. Over 150 years of combined experience. You're in the right hands with the fine folks at Burrard Physiotherapy, the fine folks at Burrard Roofing as well. And now this.
Drip, drip, drip. Ladies, you don't have to sleep with that drip tonight. That annoying drip in your home you just haven't gotten around to getting rid of? Burrard Roofing and Drainage can fix that annoying drip. For 40 years, Burrard Roofing and Drainage has been fixing roof leaks right down to the cause, guaranteed. Call Burrard Roofing and Drainage. Call 604-986-1812. Burrard Roofing and Drainage. We've got you covered.
All right, and it's not easy, of course, to put us back in the green spandex. I actually did a thing recently for the Daily Hive with the Hulk, no less, Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, wow,
was
the original
around.
Green Man.
So I put on the spandex quite a lot so far in 2018 as compared to 2017 or 16 perhaps. But nonetheless, we donned them for the fine folks at the Burrard Hotel. Even 2 guys in green spandex sometimes need to break away from regular life.
And the Burrard has everything we need.
Space for hanging out.
Bikes for exploring.
Sweet rooms for getting ready for the game.
And an amazing downtown location.
So book your Burrard breakaway now and we'll see you at the game. They are your staycation destination, and we had a contest going on the Green Men page, and very happy to announce Kayla Charisse Joseph. Congratulations, you got a free 2-night stay. Based on the comments, it looks like you're taking Jordan Baker. Nicely done, you two. Congrats, enjoy, it's a great time. Also check out right below here, we're putting in, there's a promo code there. It'll save you 15% on your next booking. And we want to thank the fine folks at Red Truck Beer. They just opened up a new brewery down in Colorado. They're doing some fine things over there, some excellent brewskis. Can't say anything more about them. They are fantastic.
We like beer on the show. Very beer-friendly show.
Only positive comments. They do fine work. All right. Speaking of doing some fine work, let's welcome her to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, 3-time gold medalist, a finalist for FIFA Player of the Year, putting U.S. soccer on the map. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Shannon Boxx. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
We like that intro.
I had a bunch of team names and stuff I could go through like a Rolodex. But just very, very exciting stuff. We're so excited to have you on. Thank you again for joining us. And why don't we just go back to square one? We're deep in the heart of Fontana, California. What's it like growing up in Fontana and the support system you had there?
Yeah, I grew up in West Covina. Very early, though, moved to Torrance, California. And I think that's kind of where, in Fontana and in West Covina, I was playing for a boys team. So that kind of, I think, started it all. I think the competitiveness that I had right from the beginning. I have an older sister who's 4 years older, very athletic. And I just remember I was 4 years old and my mom was like saying you were just dying to play soccer. You wanted to play so bad. I actually had to go ask them if you could play early. So that kind of started it.
That's funny you say that. Because even when where I was growing up in Wisconsin, it was girls playing with the boys, and talk about the toughness. And I know that's a big thing that we try to teach our kids now is how to teach toughness, and it's hard to do. But I think that like I have an older brother, so I used to challenge myself against the kids that were older than me. And was that something that you saw? Like, would you say that attributed to your toughness?
Oh my gosh, 100%. You have an older sister, an older brother. They're already, I have 2 kids now, and my daughter's beating up on my son. I'm like, watch out, he's gonna get back. So I definitely think that is a big thing. I also think playing with boys was huge for me. I was definitely a tomboy, anyways. But you had to prove yourself. Being the only girl on the field, you had to prove yourself and show that you're not, weak or whatever. And so I think that really put a stamp on it. I didn't start playing with girls until I was maybe 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. So if you now, as looking back on it, even being a coach like you are now, is there ways that you would teach toughness? Is there ways that you kind of look back on your experience and say, these are some lessons that I learned about being tough?
That's a tough one because I definitely feel like going through this process of starting to coach and have these young players, it almost seems like it's ingrained in certain players. You already see it in some of these young ones and you're like, wow, you were just born with this, But I definitely think there's a way to make these kids competitive. I think we're trying to get young players to win too soon. And so they're winning without kind of getting the technical ability. So that becomes really hard too, because you want to make them competitive, but then you're also like, well, let's not worry about winning right now. Let's worry about technically doing it right. So I think it's been very difficult. But I think it's still able to do that in training sessions to make things competitive. You got to step up the scenario a little bit on each of your sessions so that they feel like they have to kind of work a little bit harder.
Okay, so Shannon, coming out of California, you get recruited to Notre Dame, not too shabby. So just describe that process. How you went through, how you made the decision, and where you went from there.
Yeah, it's so different now too. You look back at these kids that are dealing with now, and I'm like, soccer wasn't a big sport recruitment wise when I was going through that process. My sister had already got a scholarship to go to Cal Berkeley for softball. And I remember my mom saying, like, if you want a full ride, which, I came from a single parent household, she didn't really have the money to pay for us to go to college. She's like, if you want a full ride, you're going to probably have to switch to a different sport. And I was like, so I started playing club softball. And I just didn't love it. I was fully into soccer. And I was like, well, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to figure that out. And it was, obviously playing on a good club team, going to the major tournaments. And, I got lucky that there were coaches that wanted me. And so I kind of feel like I had a different process. I wasn't sending them videos. I wasn't doing those things. And for them to reach out, but it was intense. And you want to make sure you pick the right school for you. I think my sister gave me the best advice ever was make sure you pick not just a school for the soccer program, because what happens if you get hurt? Are you going to love being there if you can't play? Are you going to love being there if the coach changes? I think that coaches change all the time. They could recruit you and then they could leave to another school. So making sure you are well-rounded as a person, as the school is well-rounded as well. I think that was a huge thing for me. And to this day, people ask me, would you choose Notre Dame again? And 100% I would. Nice.
And how much did Rudy play a factor in that recruitment?
It was just like 30, I don't even know what. It was the anniversary of Rudy right now. But they played that our freshman year a couple times. And, it's funny because it's such a cool traditional story. And I think I watched it maybe a couple weeks ago with my husband. And I just love seeing the campus. I think you just really, when you watch that, you realize the tradition Notre Dame has and the family environment that it brings. And I'm always going to be a part of Notre Dame family, especially, you know, I think one reason I definitely picked it was for the, you know, the access I would have after I graduated and the, you know, alumni that could potentially help me move forward with whatever I wanted to do after soccer.
No judgment. Did your husband cry watching the movie? I always have something in my eye when I'm watching the movie towards the
My
end.
husband actually hated Notre Dame when I met him. He was like, oh, Notre Dame, like you either love it or hate it. And I finally took him back, and he saw the program, and he saw what the athletic department did for its athletes, and he was kind of like, okay, I get it. I get why you went.
Respect.
Finally.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So, I mean, a huge year there in 1995. You win the NCAA title. I mean, maybe just to go into that. I mean, prior to that, you're just playing like with club teams and stuff back in California, and then I mean, this is the biggest stage that you've been on yet, and you take it all home. I mean, what did you take from that experience?
I think college was the first time that you realize you're playing for more than just yourself. You know, I think in club you're working hard and you're playing because you're having fun and all of these things, and then you join a college and you're playing for the university, you're playing for your teammates, you're playing. It's the first time that you kind of recognize that. We felt like that year was so cool because the whole university got behind us. We got to wear our green jerseys for the final, which is, you know, not normal, especially for a women's team there at Notre Dame, it was usually put just for the football team. So that was really cool. But yeah, I think it was just the first time that I actually found out what it meant to play for a team, and when everybody played their role, we win.
So NCAA title now in your pocket. Things start to open up as far as the professional game is concerned. Women's league comes into North America, but there's also other leagues around in Europe and some of these other great places to play. Talk to us about getting into the professional game. What made you go to teams? What made you leave teams? What kind of opportunities were you seeing now as you were as the women's game became a real thing and great players like yourself were starting to participate all around the world?
Yeah, well, it was great because you were starting to see some of the older players that were playing on the national team at that point that were going abroad. They were playing in Japan, they were playing in Sweden, they were playing in Germany, and I think that was the first time that I was like, wow, I can actually play longer than my college career. If I'm still enjoying this, then that's kind of something I want to do. And there were local things that were in the U.S., obviously, the amateur type things. But then I went to Germany and played for 6 months, and it was a great experience. I don't know if I ever would have done it again while I was playing, but it made me grow a lot in saying this is the level that I would need to play. And I just really missed home, to be honest, and I wasn't having fun, and I told myself that I would only play while I was having fun. And so I came home and actually thought I was done. And then luckily, the Women's Professional League, started the WSA, and I didn't know if I was going to go for it. And finally, I was like, it doesn't hurt to try, and let's go see what I do. And I went to tryouts, and I got picked in third round, so I was playing, and it was amazing playing for San Diego, playing in California, seeing the fans come out, knowing that you're a professional athlete. I mean, I'm playing against Mia Hamm, I'm playing with Julie Foudy, Joy Fawcett, all these players that you looked up to, but then also had to kind of make your own mark. And so I thought that was really, really fun to do, and to see that people were really supporting, especially in San Diego. I mean, we were sold out every game in the first year.
That's incredible. Complete different sport, but I have a bone to pick with San Diego. I'm a Chargers fan, and it's a fresh wound.
It was really fun to live in, too, and it was a good soccer town. So
it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, and I was close to home, so family came down all the time, and that, I feel like, has always been my biggest support. But that was the year that I also, those 2 years was when I kind of found out that I had my autoimmune that I have. So I was also struggling through that, and figuring out is playing professionally going to be in my future, or am I going to be, doing something different?
Now, can we touch on that? You were diagnosed with lupus, but then it seems that your career almost takes off. I mean, a few years later, you're, a finalist for FIFA. Want to make sure I got it right. World Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I kept thinking worlds at the end for some reason. Nonetheless, but yeah, no, it's just an absolute phenomenal job. I mean, how did you manage to maintain what you were going through, and being up for every single game and putting together these kind of performances?
And can you explain to the listeners what exactly lupus is and kind of the symptoms you were dealing with?
Yeah, that's a good one. I originally was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome, which is part of the autoimmune family and very similar to lupus, where pretty much autoimmune and lupus is like where your body starts attacking itself. So your antibodies that are in your system, when you have the flu, those antibodies help fight it off. So they go attack that and it gets you healthy. Well, mine was mistaking all my healthy tissue as foreign invaders pretty much. And it started attacking those things. So like your organs, your heart, your, anything of that, your skin, your joints. And a lot of the symptoms that you get are joint pain. You can obviously have organ issues, which I still don't, which is very great. But joint pain is a big one, and fatigue. I mean, I know that some people have heard of, Michelle Akers had the fatigue syndrome, where she could barely move, and that's similar to that. So when I was first diagnosed, I didn't quite understand it. They just were like, "Oh, this is what you have," and I was like, "Okay." And I kind of just kept playing, but I just remember having moments where I could barely walk up my set of stairs. I could barely make it through practice. And I kept it pretty quiet because obviously the first coach I told was in San Diego. And not that these things are correlated, but it felt like they were, where I told him that, hey, I'm having some of these issues. Some days I might not feel the best. Sometimes I'll feel great. Like, I wanted to let you know. And literally, like, the next week I was a non-starter. So I have no idea if he just didn't like me as a player, but I just put those two things together. And from that moment on, I was like, well, I'm not going to, this could ruin my job. So I'm going to keep it quiet from everyone but my immediate family. And so I did. I went through those first couple of years of battling with myself, being pretty lonely, and like my symptoms continued to get worse. And then finally I was diagnosed in 2007 with lupus. So I went a couple of years with just the Sjogren's. And then lupus came along in 2008. Okay.
When it comes to the preventative side of it, I mean, before a game, I mean, you're a finalist for 2005 FIFA World Player of the Year. You take home a gold medal in 2004. You take home another one in 2008. I mean, right after the diagnosis. I mean, how are you weighing the two? Getting up for a game, but also keeping this, in control.
Once I finally came open, I think I looked back and said, wow, what a difference opening up about this, getting support, because there were definitely times, I mean, qualifiers for the women just ended. And I remember being in qualifiers in Mexico and feeling all of it start like a flare coming on, and my team didn't know. And I just remember being like, I got to get out of here before I can't move. And walking out the door and getting into my room, and Heather Mitz was my roommate. And she walked in, and I was trying to put my tights on because my legs were hurting so bad. And I was literally white as a ghost. She's like, what is going on? And I just had to pretty much lie to her. Just like, I don't know. I feel kind of sick, and getting through that. I think, for me, it was, there were definitely going to be bad days. And I had to really learn about my body. I had to learn when symptoms were coming, triggers that would cause it. Things to try to avoid as much as possible. And luckily in big games, Olympics, World Cup, I never really had a flare. A lot of my flares came, when we were training, because you're just training so hard. The sun always seemed to beat me up a lot as well. So the year before the 11 World Cup, we were in Florida, and that was probably the year I had my most flares.
Okay, so let's talk about the 3 gold medals here. I mean, being able to put that on the side and shake that off and go out and perform at the level you did is absolutely incredible. Of these 3 Olympic golds, which one stands out best for you? Obviously, the first one is the first one and stuff like that. But
right.
looking back now, what for you was the best Olympics and Olympic memories?
Gosh, they all have so many amazing parts to them. But like you said, the first one's your first, and I think you think that's your only one you're going to get, right? So you enjoy every moment. And I was playing with those the legends. It was their last tournament, and I think that was really special. But I think '08 was probably, out of all three of them, the one that I would always kind of come back to and remember the specific games. And we're always a team, but it just felt like we were so connected on and off the field. We lost Abby the game before we left, and I remember scrimmaging in China and playing against China, and we had no idea how to play. We were like, we don't know how to do this without Abby. We literally would get the ball up to her, she would do her thing and score. Or we'd get up to her head and she would score. And I think we kind of lost that. That was the only way we figured out how to win. And so we had to change it. And we had to have players step up. Angela Hookleys is one that just stepped up enormously. Lindsay Tarpley. I mean, we had so many players. When you look at the statistics, I think you saw that there were multiple players scoring goals. It wasn't just one person. And so that one will always mean a lot to me because of the way we won it.
Now, let's talk about leadership. Obviously, to be in the positions you have to lead locker rooms, what do you find as a leader, or especially in locker rooms? What were some of your leadership traits, and kind of what are some of the best leaders that led you as well?
A great one, because I think there's so many different types of leaders. There's your quiet ones, like a Joy Fawcett, who was reading a book before a game, but yet she had, she had such leadership ability on the field. For me, I think the style that I had was more of lead by example. I worked hard. I was never going to be a flashy player, but I was consistent. I came and showed up every single day. I worked hard every single day, and I showed in that way. And then I used my voice a lot. I'm a loud person, and so I made sure people knew, as a center midfielder, I was kind of like the quarterback of the team, and so I made sure people knew where they were going and what they were doing, and I think that was really important. And I think that players, now when I talk to my former teammates, and the things that they loved about me was that they could look at me and I would maybe set the tone of the game. I'd go in for a slide tackle and they're like, game's on, like they were ready. And I think that was how I was able to lead. But yeah, I think that's kind of the style to me that I saw, and I followed suit with Joy a lot of just, I'm going to work hard every single day. You know that you can depend on her every single day. And I think that was the style that I did. Teaching kids now, I think it's important for them to know that even as a leader, there's going to be sometimes that you have to be a follower. And, can you lead? You can't have all leaders on a field. So can you play your role? Maybe this game you're the leader, maybe the next game you're not, but can you figure out what your role is on the field for that day, and can you stick with it?
There's been an ongoing commentary, I guess, if you will. I mean, ever since I was even born, and before then, voice cracked, which is and it's a great thing. It's a very positive thing. Talking about how women are disrespected in the workplace. And there's so many examples, but one that really stands out here, especially for your profession, is we had the Women's World Cup here just a few years ago, and there was a huge discussion about they were playing on field turf here in Vancouver, and saying, well, there's no way that the men would be treated like this. Just using that as one example. Mm-hmm. But I mean, what kind of obstacles did you face? Going through your entire career. That the men wouldn't face, you don't think, in their game, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, and I love that our women finally did. Like, we finally stepped up as a group, and that was kind of when I was transitioning out. But yeah, the World Cup, I mean, I think that was our biggest thing of saying that the men would never have played. They would have just not even done it. And the fact that FIFA even put us into that situation, because they had us fill out a survey. And we kind of walked out of that, and I was like, "You guys already made the decision that we're going to play on turf, huh? This means nothing." And they were like, So it was like, "Why are we doing this? Because you can say, oh, we gave them a survey, and they got to fill things out to see what they say." But I'm like, it doesn't even matter. So those are kind of the things that you felt like, okay, yeah, we are second-class citizens at this point, because in no way would the men do that. No way would you even offer that for the men. So I think that was a big thing. I think for me, playing for the national team as well, is that you just saw differences. And we travel, but it's hard because the men and the women, that was our main salary. The men, it wasn't. And so I get that part of it, of how are you going to compare completely? But for me, it was more just on the little things, like how we're taking care of our bodies, and are we flying, I was middle seat half the time when I was going to China every year. Little things like that I'm like, I'm training just as hard, and I'm seeing some of these things happen where I'm not seeing it on the men's side. So I think our women have done a great job, and U.S. Soccer has done a good job of trying to work with them and making that a little bit better. But yeah, I think as women, we're always going to be battling this. But I love to see that everywhere, not just in soccer, that, women are fighting for what they deserve.
What are you most proud of from your career?
Oh, man. I think for me, and, this is what I can talk to so many kids, is I didn't make it till I was 26 years old. It was a dream that I wanted to play for the national team. I kept fighting. I kept battling. I knew I had the ability. It's just I might have had to figure out what wasn't fitting yet. And for me, it was fitness. And could I fix that so that I can make the national team? And so I just kept fighting. I think that's just something that I've always had, is that competitiveness, to never give up, persevere. And each year I kind of went into that mentality that I have to prove myself. It was like after my first year making it in 03, it was like, oh, everybody thinks that was just, 1 year. So then I had to prove it in 04, and then I had to prove it in 05. And I had that mentality, but I also didn't let it get to me where I was, bitter. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed every teammate that I had and the experiences that I had. But yeah, I think for me is just how hard I continue to work to continue my dream and not to give up.
Well, that's a good segue into one of the things that we always cut to kind of finish each episode is to ask, this show is called The Rise. It's based on, my foundation called the Rise and Shine Foundation. And one of the things that we always try to do is taking each guest and saying, is there certain rules that you live by? What are your Rise and Shine rules that you live by, that get you out of bed every day, that, allow you to win 3 gold medals, and take on autoimmune disease all at the same time. So, there must be certain codes or words that you live by. And can you just share 1 or 2 of those with us?
I mean, like I said, I think I did persevere. I think, and in that is that you might have a bad day, and this kind of goes back to the lupus. You might have a couple days of flares, but get out of bed, try again. And I think that was my mentality the whole time I did have lupus playing, was I might not be able to run on the treadmill today, but I'm going to rest, and tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to try again. I think that's a big one. I think that the competitive nature, no matter what, will always be something that led me to be successful, and I hope continues to make me successful in whatever I do next. Is I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let anybody else down. So I'm going to be super competitive and make it happen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shannon, for taking the time. It's so greatly appreciated. And also, what are you up to these days? Where can people find Shannon Boxx these days?
I'm in Portland. I'm starting to do a lot more coaching. So I have Shannon Boxx Soccer Academy that I do here locally, but also, the 3 of us, Abby Wambach, Christy Rampone, and I have put together Full Pitch Soccer. So we do camps around the country, and we kind of have it in a different, it's a bit different than most camps you'll hear. You're actually working on a lot more tactical stuff. You're watching video maybe for the first time with some of these young kids. So you're kind of like showing them that this is part of the game, and it's just fun for us to be able to get together now that we're retired. And we're training with the kids every single day. And I think that's something a lot of people don't think we are, but we're right there. We're getting sweaty and dirty with the kids. So it's been a lot of fun the last couple of years.
Fantastic. Truly inspirational stuff on and off the pitch. Thank you again, Shannon. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Shannon.
I appreciate it. Bye.
See ya. Just absolutely incredible stuff. And I mean, you had a front row seat for this, being part of the U.S. men's team. So I mean, you saw this journey all the way through. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, going along with the men's team, it can't be easy keeping up with the ladies' side. I mean, in Canada, it's completely, it's very different. The men's team has not shown up so much. The Canadian women are absolutely crazy. But on the men's side, it's the same thing. That you're going up against this women's side pretty much in terms of popularity, because soccer is still a growing sport down there. What's that like? I mean,
I just remember seeing them right when Mia Hamm and Brandy Chastain, and again Shannon being a very recognizable part of that the legends, as they say. But I just remember they used to sell out every stadium and going, what? Like, that's incredible. But again, they put on a great show. They, especially in North America, we love winning. So, they were beating everybody and winning gold medals. And, that part of that ride is, again, as Shannon talked about, it's just, it's such a good thing for the development of the game, and kind of it really put women's soccer on the map. And now the rest of the world has taken part. And again, I don't know if you went to any of the games when they hosted the World Cup here a couple of years ago, but incredible and well deserved. And again, having a woman like Shannon who's been a part of that rise is not only a credit to her and what she's been through, but certainly speaks to the development of all this stuff, especially on the soccer side. And always great to have people that have contributed to that.
Yeah, and these are the people that need to be contributing to the next generation.
I agree, and there isn't enough of. And we talked about this more off camera, but just kind of. You look at some of these development systems, and that's what we do with my camps. It's like there needs to be more. There needs to be more as far as how these experiences as professionals can be transferred into many life lessons, not just like, this is how you win, man. That's not the point, and it's not the point until it's way at the end. That winning is the only thing, right? Like if you talk about anything before you're 25 years old, it should be about development. Yeah. Winning is a byproduct of development and progress and evolution and getting better every day. But that's a different mindset than it is just win all the time. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be more. You have to learn how to win, of course. But is that the truest priority? I don't know.
It's more than player growth. It's more than just growing your game. It's growing yourself. And, the two go absolutely hand in hand. And so many times in sports, that's what you see. It's just this win-win mentality, which is great if you can pull it off. But the older you get, the more you mature. You have to, there's so many people around. I mean, Shannon being one, yourself, that can kind of help guide because you've done this sort of thing. You've taken this journey and you know what to look out for and stuff like that. So it's very productive to have people like Shannon on the air that can give those messages.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And speaking of delivering those messages, stick around in just a moment. We're going to talk more about the Rise and Shine Foundation, show you what it's all about, and some of Jay's camps as well. I'm Ryan Sullivan for Jay DeMerit.
Thanks so much.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.
So we are sitting here at the future site of a really glamorous high-end facility called the Rise and Shine Retreat. Currently we are kind of bootstrapping it with some tents that we've set up to be glamorous campsites, aka glamping. They make perfect accommodation for kids who are joining us for Jay's captain's camps.
Well, I think for us, half of this is about the mentorship program. It's not actually about soccer. The sport is why we're all here. But the mentorship is truly about what skills can we present to these kids and really start to give them an idea of what other successful people are doing in this world. And we have fun little competitions, but we always try to walk them out in the mentor's shoes because that's truly how these kids can learn.
So we feel it's really important to make sure that they are able to identify their other skills and strengths and particularly passions. It's not just kids coming up and being coached by somebody in their particular sport. It's kids' eyes being open to the multitude of possibilities and potential for success beyond the field. The idea is to create well-rounded individuals through this program. And then the other side of it is, we have all of these athletes who have transitioned out of sport, or entrepreneurs who have moved on or changed their focus and transitioned out of whatever their career path had been. And it's cool to provide an opportunity for them to be part of it.
To see kids grow and to see kids actually participate in these kind of activities is truly, for me, the biggest benefit I get out of it all, because I could see them physically developing right in front of our eyes. We've been at the highest echelons of high performance, but we've also, we're normal people, we're relatable people, just like everybody else. And we have this rare ability to now create the platform to understand what that means, to support each other, to bring back community in not only in our kids, but as adults, and help each other.
I think that, when you achieve success as an athlete and you are so appreciative of all the people who put so much into it, it's only natural that you'd want to sort of turn around and share what you've learned and your experiences with the next generation.
We call it the Rise and Shine Retreat. That's what we're trying to create. We want people to come here in the health and wellness space and say, when I leave here, I'm going to be shining brighter. I'm going to understand what Rise and Shine means and the mentality behind it. We want to create a multifaceted facility. We want to be able to host weddings. We want to be able to host kids camps. We want to do fundraisers. We want to host community nights where people come and play sand soccer. We have the license and the space to really create our own lifestyle and bring people along with that in all of this health and wellness sphere that we feel so strongly about, and have a great crew that can help in those environments and create those atmospheres. And that's the kind of thing that we want to do here. We want to be unique. We want to set a new standard in how we should live, and ultimately create a community that really cares for each other.